I want a Peter Obi supporter in the house so that it can be free and fair. Just remember not to be sentimental. Just remember, please.
Okay, can I proceed?
Proceed, go ahead.
Can I talk?
Yes, go
ahead. All right, well, I wish Google is actually here so that he can actually, yeah, I wish he's there so that I can actually acknowledge some facts and argument.
Double click the screen if you are watching on TikTok. Oh, I have 447 people watching me live, only 7,900 likes. Oh yeah, double click the screen. We'll go first, reach 10K. Follow my number one gifter. Follow my number one gifter. I want to quickly reach 10K. 10K now. 10K on TikTok. Double click the screen. Double click it. 8,200 likes. We have 400. Double click. Please make a novex. Now market I won't sell.
I bet sell your market.
They sell their market. Obi they sell the market. Every day they buy Marula. Obi they sell the market. Obi I sell my own. Double click the screen. Click it. Follow my number one gifter. Last right. Make I announce my number one gifter. Lizzie Clark 56. Everybody follow Lizzie Clark. Follow Lizzie Clark 56. Follow Lizzie Clark 56. Double click the screen. Oh more, we don't reach 12K. Let's move this to 15K. Make no vex. Eh? Oh yeah.
I'm going to drink your tears.
Oh yeah. Double click the screen. Follow my number one gifter. Pop those money guns. If you're watching on Instagram, go to Facebook, search for Daddy Freeze, DADDYFREEZE. Click on today's video, bottom left-hand corner, you see how to buy stars. We're doing Star Wars. If you believe Peter will be one, go and buy my stars. If you believe it's Atiku that won, go and buy my stars. Me, I will declare my own winner this night. Me or not, yeah. If you think it is Tinubu that won, we are still on we will do our own court here. Oh yeah. Double click the screen on TikTok. Go to Facebook, search for Daddy Freeze, click on today's video, bottom left-hand corner, you see how to buy my stars. My YouTube people, you know I love you. Super chat, super stickers, super likes. I'll only read comments with super chat, super stickers, and super likes. So over to you, Femi Adirogba.
All right. Yeah. Because I can remember that when the election was concluded in May, that should be February. The first thing I said is that obedience should go and wait till 2027. But they felt I was saying rubbish, and they came with a series of insults. And I even told them that even PDP, they should just wait to 2027 because the case on ground doesn't actually appear like a strong case. Because if we consider the argument they brought to the court, especially Peter Obi, we realize that that argument does not actually have some kind of, I can say, legal technicality. Because actually, we have different kind of law system. And one of those law systems is the statutory law, which is one of those things that was actually used to adjudge the case between Peter Obi. Okay.
Continue.
Okay. Which was actually used to make the case between Peter Obi and President Tinubu. Another one is the civil law, because they were all shouting that Tinubu was a drug baron, and I remember telling one of these guys that if you don't have evidence, you cannot ascertain that someone is a criminal or someone is a drug baron. Now, the court made us to understand that the law that is even guiding that argument is civil law, not criminal law. Meaning that all the insinuation they've been saying all this while is more or less of a beer parlor kind of argument. And I couldn't blame them. Sometimes when you are emotional about something, you're emotional about getting something done, you may not really.
So you are saying in a beer parlor where they are drinking Budweiser,
yes,
which is obese beer,
yes,
they are making beer parlor gist. You are not a nice person.
Definitely that the freeze. That's the fact. Because because if you actually listen to that video very well, I mean the judgment today, they actually brought one thing, which I was telling Brumel last year, that they were leveraging the Evidence Act. They said that you don't actually have the power to say someone is guilty of an offense if you cannot align yourself with the Evidence Act. And anytime you are talking, raising an argument, you cannot actually justify your argument with good evidence. Automatically, whatever you are saying is a beer parlor discussion. So I'm not really kind of surprised that that case is actually coming to them. But let's really try to review what the court system did today and what they really talked about. The first thing is that the three cases that they actually took to the court, the first case is about the INEC. They said that INEC has to have uploaded the result, and because they were not transmitting the result was actually manipulated. The second one was that the eligibility of Ashiwaju, they also brought that to the court. And the third one, which sounded illogical, was that if at the end of the day, the court eventually said that Ashiwaju is not qualified for the election, then Peter Obi should be declared winner. The question we should have asked is that, okay, who is actually the runner-up? Atiku. Then what does even the Constitution says about the argument of these people? And I want to send a reminder to them. Section 3 of 1999 Constitution has actually made everything clear to us. He said that, number one, a person whose election was questioned at the time of election was not qualified to contest the election. That is the first ground. You can actually say someone is not actually the president of Nigeria. And today we can see that the court has made us to know that, number one, the case of the case of the money laundering of a thing, they even made us to understand that that particular case was actually in the United States of America, not in Nigeria. Whereas the court system made us to understand that only the man that can actually be disqualified is someone who has been charged and sentenced under 10 years. And the case even between Ashiwaju, the case between Ashiwaju and money laundering stuff of the thing was over 10 years. So ordinarily, I just don't have more to say than what I just have to say here is that it's time for the obedient to start learning. The Nigerian politics is highly complicated. It's not something that can actually be solved on social media. And the FCT case they've been arguing on all this while now is clarified now. The court has made us to understand that we cannot treat FCT as a special state. We have to treat FCT like the remaining state. So they should just move out of their ignorance, come to the reality now. And like I do say, it's not the time for us to be divided. If we want to work against the opposition, we cannot always kind of argue unnecessarily. The best thing we can do is to be strategic in thinking. At the end of the day, what majority of us doesn't want is what is happening right now. The first thing we don't want Tinubu to be the president. Unfortunately, by virtue of division, by virtue of unnecessary pride, he has become the president. Number two, they believe that by the virtue of protest and going to court, they are going to actually get the mandate. And I've told them since the beginning of time that they cannot get the mandate because their case is actually weak. And it's not even logical. It's not something we should just be stretching or wasting our time on. The simple thing is that Peter Obi has lost at the tribunal. If he wishes to waste his money, he can proceed to the Supreme Court. But I can tell you that even if he proceeds to the Supreme Court, I can tell you that the next thing they will do is to use common law. And what does the provision of common law? Common law just says that so far a particular judgment has actually been established, then that particular judgment will now become the guide of what the Supreme Court judge will actually use to make the judgment. So that automatically means that even if they go to the Supreme Court, they will still get the same kind of result. It's just best for everyone to support Ashiwaju right now, to comply with the law, to do necessary things, to support the government and move on. That is just it. All these 8 word and beer parlor discussion should be avoided. We are no longer in the beer parlor, social media beer parlor. We've now seen the reality. Let everybody come down to their real sense, and we should just embrace love, we should embrace understanding, and we should be prospective with whatsoever discussion we are making with anyone. That would just be my simple submission for now.
God bless you so much, Mr. Femi. They think Twitter, Instagram comment section is Nigerian court of law. They won't go to school. They'll be doing Twitter warriors. You will not go to school and get yourself educated. And they will still argue. they will still argue. They think it's those little things they see on social media. They just run along with the tag, which is not supposed to be. Just like what Adifis have said, I'm not in support with any politician. I will never support any of them. Nothing concerns me and them. But let's take away sentiment and emotions. You're asking for a retrial. You're asking for a re-election. You and I know how much the government said they used in preparing this last election. Imagine we have to go through that.
The voice said, let's embrace corruption. In this particular court session, there was no corruption. What do you think, Femi? Do you think there was corruption?
There's no corruption. You know, that is what I said. I think the first day, the second day of the election, I've said that
not
Peter Obi does not have the
election, the court process. Do you think
there was no corruption? Everything was based on constitution. If you follow the case from A to Z, everything was based on constitution. They were quoting constitution and the antecedents. That means the previous case they've treated at the tribunal case, and they supported the argument with it. So there was no corruption there. It's just something straightforward, logical and straightforward.
He contests the fact that he won the election and the election was rigged. It wasn't contesting that.
They don't have any evidence.
And there was no evidence, for the love of God. I said all right,
this evening. The other gentleman we have here, let's hear him.
All right.
Brother Chris, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for bringing me to your live show. I've been to be honest with ourselves. I've been waiting for these days to come. And thank God it came. And our suspicion, what we wanted the judiciary to do, the justice that our fellow brothers that with the cap obedient wanted from the court, all eyes on the judiciary, has come to pass today. The justice that we have been waiting for has been dispensed in this election petition tribunal. First and foremost, sir, Femi has said a lot of stuff that I would have said. But I just want to bring our mind to two salient points. The first one was that after the election result was declared, there was this popular saying by our brother Peter Obi and his group that they would recover back their mandate from the court. He made an official statement to that effect by addressing his supporters that our stolen mandate, they will get it from court. But I was shocked that when the court process actually started, what he filed, what he called stolen mandate, I didn't see anything pointing to that fact that his mandate was stolen. What he was asking the court to do was to disqualify Tinubu. He never said, I won the election. And these were evidence pointing to the fact that I actually won the election in this state or in the states, all the states that were awarded to APC. He wasn't able to show us during the court proceedings that he actually won the states, those states. Then secondly, shortly before the election, those surveys from Bloomberg, that they were sending online, predicting that Peter Obi, I'll give you an instance, predicting that Peter Obi will actually defeat Kwankwaso in Kano back then. There was one that I read from Bloomberg that predicted that in Kano State, that Peter Obi was actually going to win Kwankwaso. And I laughed when I read the survey.
Is there a way you can use your phone audio, sir? You are not too much audible.
So we can hear you.
Okay, I'm using Bluetooth, unfortunately, because I'm using my earpiece. AirPod, sorry. So that was another conspiracy theory, that was cooked up, that Obi would defeat Kwankwaso in Kano. And after all said and done, like I said, during the tribunal, there was no place, there was no evidence pointing to the fact that he actually won in the states where APC won, or neither did he win in the states where PDP won. That was where I started wondering what is going to the tribunal was all about, until I was able to piece all my evidence together and concluded that, he was actually there at the tribunal just to make sure that they get Tinubu out of his way by all means, just to pave the way for Atiku Abubakar. And let us say this. Let me say this emphatically. Yes, let me say this emphatically. The whole world knows. Without Tinubu,
Bongoli no part 2 for you. Go and sleep.
Without Tinubu on that race, Atiku would have won if it was Peter Obi versus Atiku Abubakar. Not minding the fact that Buhari had already done 8 years, so Atiku would have.
I think they were still complaining about your airport.
Then let's also remove Atiku from the equation and say if it was Obi versus Tinubu, Obi obviously doesn't stand a chance in that election. So that was why we saw during the course of that tribunal defense, he had nothing to show pointing to the fact that he actually won, other than asking the court to disqualify Tinubu on the grounds that, one, he had a criminal case in the US. You know what amazes me? Is some of my brothers, not the ones in Nigeria, that does not know how criminal cases works in America, in North America, in US, in Canada, even in UK. Someone who was never fingerprinted, I said it today. I listened to the judgment. He was never fingerprinted for any criminal matter whatsoever. The FBI had to write through Nigerian embassy in Lagos when the then Inspector General of Police, Tafa Balogun, when Obasanjo wanted to nail Tinubu out court, who gave a marching order to the police chief then and said, find something for me so that I will use to nail this man. Tafa Balogun then wrote to America through the FBI, requesting for all Tinubu's criminal files and all. And the FBI replied and said, this individual that we are asking for, we have no record. We have no criminal record of him. My brothers and sisters who claim that they were supporting Obi, institution like FBI.
Actually, based on what you said, I think I just.
I'm coming. They thought institutions like FBI was a mere joke. First and foremost, who is Tinubu? So that if he has crime in the United States of America, bothering about money laundering and drugs, that the government of the United States will cover for. Who is Tinubu? When here, that the fruit. Let me shock you. If you have an assault case here or even misdemeanor, the moment police brings you in and fingerprint you in Canada, in America, you cannot even travel from Canada to America, even if you are a Canadian. The moment you have criminal case, unresolved criminal case, you cannot even travel. Then you have our fellow brothers and sisters who saw that FBI report through the United States Embassy, dated back to when Tinubu was a governor, who were still saying he was a drug baron. It's a pity the way we have conditioned our mindset just to believe conspiracy theory from a few people. We don't even want to. The justice that we seek, the fact that we want, we don't even try to listen or to get it from reliable print media or institutions that stand. Okay, also take a look at the Chicago State University, an institution that he attended, went and swear under affidavit that he, Tinubu, was a student of their school, an alumni and a graduate of their school. Yet you have people saying, oh, my woman go to school. He don't even go to school. He didn't go to any school. He has no certificate. Okay, if he shows that he has certificate, we want to see his transcript. A transcript, academic record that contains one's information like age, name, date of birth, and others. You want them to disclose this to you. And you forgot that there is Privacy Act here. You forgot that.
Well,
you want school. And what the school showed you from their yearbook that he attended, you guys were not satisfied. So I don't know what
I think about what,
because I believe the court has dispensed justice today. And if they say that decision, that judgment, that there was no justice in it, take that judgment anywhere to Supreme Court. That same judgment will stand.
Take it to court with evidence.
There's one thing
evidence,
I think
not
over
sentiments, not emotions, not rolling along social media trend. Take it to court with evidence.
That is my
evidence.
humble opinion, sir.
Okay.
Actually, there is one thing.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, regarding the delivery or carriage of law today, we can actually talk from two perspectives. The first one, when it comes to the judicial system of delivering justice, is what we call the adversarial system. And this adversarial system is all about allowing the judge to be impartial while listening to both parties involved in a particular case. And one thing that is always evident in this kind of system is that the position of the judge will actually be based on the power of the contending prosecution and the defense counsel. You know, your ability to substantiate your point will actually determine whether the impartial judge will rule in your favor or will rule against you. Now, if we were to go about this adversarial kind of system, it actually helped in adjudging some things regarding the case. And one of those things it actually helped in doing is the part whereby Peter Obi prayed that the tribunal should nullify the result of 2023 election based on the fact that Tinubu was not actually qualified to contest, and based on the fact of the drug and money laundering related offense. Actually, the court actually have to leverage the adversarial concept to deliver the judgment, because there was no actually a good evidence to back up that claim. It seems that the counsel of Asiwaju, they seem to have a better argument over Peter Obi. That doesn't really mean or doesn't imply that what they said does not happen. Most likely, Tinubu must have actually had that money laundering case in the United States. But one thing about it is that they were not so technical enough, just like the lady said in the beginning, that you are going to war, you don't really bring out the necessary equipment. How will you win the war? When they are bringing that particular argument, they were not able to substantiate their argument with relevant facts and evidence. That's number one. That's one reason the court actually ruled against them. The number two reason why the court ruled against them was because of the fact that the part of the Constitution that has actually made it clear to us that if anyone is charged of a particular case, so far that thing is not within your 10 years to the election date, there is no case about it. That is actually how the adversarial system worked for Asiwaju. But it doesn't really mean that that particular stuff they were arguing about does not exist. Just that the counsel of Asiwaju was stronger. The second part of the delivery of law is actually the inquisitorial system. The inquisitorial system actually allowed the judge to examine court case in a particular, to examine evidence in a particular case. He can also discuss the allegation with relevant party, and he can also go extra mile to carry out his research. The findings, the result of his research, can actually form the conclusion of the judgment. And that is what we actually found out in, in the case of Asiwaju versus Peter Obi, when Peter Obi raised a valid argument, and it was actually a nice argument he raised about the FCT. This was what actually the Constitution says, Section 134. This was just the meaning of what the Constitution said. The first thing the Constitution said is that anyone that must win that election must also add FCT to their claim. And this was the breakdown. The first breakdown was that Section 134, the breakdown was that number one, where there are more than two candidates, he who that has the highest vote must not have less than 1/4. That's 25%, which Asiwaju had. Asiwaju had, Atiku had. Unfortunately, Peter Obi does not meet that requirement. Number two of 18 is that the that section 137 also talk about 134, sorry, also talk about that the candidate will need to get at least 25% in minimum of 24 states. By virtue of that calculation, Peter Obi also had less than 25%. It was only Asiwaju and Atiku that had that. The only place where Peter Obi seems to have a superior argument was because he achieved 25% threshold in FCT. But if we actually look at that particular case from the context of Section 134, honestly, the word, the clause or the word "and" really means that that FCT is compulsory. But what happened in that case that made it to deliver judgment in favor of Asiwaju was because of the inquisitorial system, which give the judge the power for him to decide based on the results of his own particular research and adjudge the matter. So I can tell you that majority of the things Peter Obi actually took to the court were something that were valid. It's just unfortunate for them that they were not logical and reasonable and technical enough to bring a good argument before the court system. But what I'm saying in essence is that the fact that they actually lose at the tribunal court does not really mean that what they place at the court does not actually exist. The only point there is just because Tinubu seems to have a higher level of argument. And I cannot really say anything. One thing I can say is that Tinubu has actually been a man who has been good at tribunal case before now. If you check the past record in APC, in ACN, in AG, he has been a man that has always been using the judicial system in his favor.
It's not.
So
Tinubu
you can see that Tinubu, ordinarily, when you are actually contesting for election, you should determine who your opponent is. Tinubu is not a small boy in this game. So it's just illogical and irrational for them to underestimate the power of Tinubu. So that's why we just keep saying that in this particular matter now, let's just leave everything to God now. And if you want to go to the obedient, if you also want to go to Supreme Court, it's not bad. But what I just need you guys to understand is that stop wasting your money. 2027 election will be more expensive than 2023 election. Let's start saving the money for 2027 election so that Bongoli can go back to his seminary course he was doing before the election. It's better for us to come back now and start doing the needful. Let's reunite. Let's start understanding one another. And let's not be the usual obedient who always bully everybody online. Life has gone beyond that. That will just be my simple submission again.
Let me back whatever you said.
Well, okay.
Okay, do you want to say something, sir?
Yes.
Okay, can carry on.
According to what Femi said, I don't believe this victory came about because it's simply Tinubu. I don't believe that. I believe our constitution speaks for us. And we have 10 legal luminaries who were bold enough without any fear or favor to dispense justice. Because even, okay, let us even go back to the section 133 and 134 that Femi just spoke about. What did he say? The constitution, they only brought the issue of Abuja by using the phrase and simply because Abuja was not listed as a state. When I brought up in Nigeria, I have been voting in Nigeria since I was 18 years. I've never seen in any presidential contest, in any tribunal on appeal, where the issue of one scoring 25% in Abuja as a must has been used against any candidate as a benchmark, as a must. Even those that were interpreting the constitution, why were they reading? Why did they have to read it to that part and not read it to that?
Are you aware that when they are talking about constitution?
Why were they able to read? The constitution says, including and FCT, and they couldn't read beyond that part. Why did they not find out in the constitution?
Okay, now let us bring an obedience. Let us bring an obedience. This conversation has been one-sided, and I wanted to bring an obedience. I actually thought you were an obedient. A lot of people, that's why I've been reading comments. A lot of people have been saying,
No, I was thinking he is an obedience agent. Okay,
no.
Let me ask
so let me get
that I've said.
Victor, please let me remove you.
All right. Okay.
And let me bring Mo the Voice. Mo the Voice, are you available? Or who is obedient and available? Who is obedient and available? We need an obedient in this conversation. If you're watching on TikTok, double-click the screen. Double-click the screen if you're watching on TikTok. Follow my #1 gifter. Follow my #1 gifter. Samuel Dare Rotimi is my #1 gifter on TikTok. Follow my #1 gifter. I'm on 22,000 likes. Let's get it to 30K. Now. No need to waste time. Let's get it to 30K. Let's move it to 30K. Let's make some noise. Yeah, pop. Mold the voice. Are you available? Is Mold the voice available? I need an obedient in the house.
They are busy interpreting the judgment, so there's no way they can be available now. That judgment appears too complex for them, so it may take them time for them to actually. That is, do you know why? The reason being because anytime they are coming to life, they have to present paper in front of them to read out to us. So it still is taking them time to interpret that judgment. Until they are able to interpret that judgment, you will not see them online. I am just wondering why Bongolis even are available right now.
And for those saying we're all Yorubas, I'm not Yoruba. I'm from Delta, and I'm not even Delta Igbo. I'm just being factual. I'm just being not sentimental. You can't expect me to accept what you're giving to me without you giving me a foundation and evidence to back up your claim. And you cannot impose your own decision on me. That is why we're in a democratic government currently. You cannot say because you like this person, I have to like this person, or I have to agree with whatever you're saying. Each of us should have an opportunity to air our opinion. So you cannot tell me, oh, because I did not agree with Peter Obi. I'm crazy. Everybody has who and who they support, and they have their reason. And I would still
can you replace them with Bongoli, please?
I will still restate.
I will bring Bongoli. If I bring Bongoli, Bongoli will come begin the happy say, on. I want to bring more the voice. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Bongoli is not the prayer. May we not labor in vain, no. May we not labor in vain. It's a big prayer. Big prayer. 6 million votes just wasted like that. Wow.
Because of no direction. No direction.
Honestly, you know why? You know why I'm actually not surprised by the downfall. You know, during the what's it called, Clash of the Supporter, I told them that Atiku can never come third, no matter how the situation can be, cannot come third. They said we shall see that Atiku will actually come third. He will even come number 4. Unfortunately, now they were the one that they should lose totally. That's unfortunate. My brother, sorry. My brother, well done. Welcome.
Welcome. Good evening.
Hi. Please.
Oh, the voice.
Long time.
How are you?
It's simple.
I'm just supporting Atiku. I can never hide that. But what I'm just saying is that you guys, you need to standing logical now. All the cases you've been bringing since the Clash of the Supporter, none of them actually hold water. You guys should even be ashamed of yourself. Okay,
stop going on voice, and I'll still state the fact that I'm not in support because I feel Tinubu, Atiku, Peter Obi, they are all the same person with different marks.
No, they are not the same actually. It's just that Peter Obi call our chances.
Can we get obedience? All right, let's hear from another perspective. We don't hear now.
Thanks.
More the voice, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Yeah, Freeze, thanks for having me. So ultimately, look, going to court is kind of a last resort. There's still problems in Nigeria, and even the way we run elections is a piece of crap. So it's either we're going to send the results manually, or we're going to send them electronically. We can't say we're sending them electronically and then have people change them with pens and papers. You go to Nigerian police station in 2023, instead of using a computer, people are still using pen and paper. So anybody who is excited about this, it's good for them. I'm not excited. It's not because I thought Peter Obi could solve all the problems. Peter Obi did not go to court because he thought he won. He went to court to challenge the process. So if you have elections that are marred by violence, rigging, we all know, we're Nigerians, we all know what happened. But if we want to close our eyes to what happened during these past elections is totally fine. And we'll continue to live in the same country that we're living. People who are doing good will be doing good. The disparity between the poor and the rich will continue to increase. So that's just the bottom line. The court has said what they has made their judgment, and I don't think they're necessarily wrong, but we have fundamental problems. And I don't think it's exactly time for anybody to celebrate that we have won. The problems are waiting for us. After we get off live, we go back, everyone goes back and faces the problems. So, and I know it's for a few weeks now, you've been discussing the issue of JACBA or no JACBA. It will be existence, the lines at the US embassies and the British embassies will be there on Monday. Everybody will line up to try to get a visa to get out, or they trek through the Sahara Desert. There is a problem and we need to confront it. In my opinion, the guy who's president right now is not the right guy. You know what I mean? To me, I just feel I will not point to him to show my children an example of integrity. That's just basic for me. So
you see, bro, you have valid points, but my problem is you are scratching around the surface. You are not okay. He had issues, like the court said. If, like Femi Aderoba said, if the issues you had were older than 10 years old, you cannot be disqualified based on them. That's the law.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing with the law. I'm not arguing with the law.
Meaning that if you, for instance, committed a crime, after a period, you are given the opportunity to be reintegrated into the society. And I'll give you the example of Shine Barlow. He is running for, it's not Haiti, Shine Barlow, just Google him. He's running, he was the guy that the gun was found on during the PDP Jennifer Lopez trial. Just Google Shine Barlow or Shine Barrow, something like that. Let me just, give me 1 second. Shine. I'm following the guy on Instagram. Shine. Is it Shine with Y?
Oh, sorry.
Shine. Yes, Shine Barrow.
B-W-R-O-W.
Politician. He is the opposition leader of the House of Representatives. He is, I've forgotten what country it is now. Shine Barrow.
New York, US.
No, Shine Barrow. I don't know what country it is. That's his name, Barrow. Yes.
S-H-Y-N-E.
S-H-Y-N-E. He is the leader of the opposition in Belize, House of Representatives. This guy went to jail for being in a shootout in America. Google his story. He was the guy. Remember that PDD Jennifer Lopez club incident where they found a gun?
Yeah.
And PDD missed going to jail narrowly. It was this guy that went to jail. Today, he is a politician and he's the leader of the opposition in the Belize House of Representatives. He can become president tomorrow. So that whole idea that they caught you with substance 20, 30 years ago, people change. I personally do not believe that because you did something wrong once, you're going to be like that for the rest of your life. I don't see that as a valid point. We all, Baba, if you know the kind of things we did when we were in university, if you know Baba, we're not even supposed to be where we are today. But you see, 30 years later, 25 years later, things have changed. Thought processes have evolved. If you understand what I'm saying. So as long as, let me tell you, it is legal for him to contest. It is not illegal. If the court said 20 years and within that 20-year period he is trying to contest, then we know we have a problem. But if it is within the framework of legality, I don't see an issue.
Yeah, so I have no problem with the law.
No,
at the end of the day,
there is one thing I want to
sometimes we can go ahead and we can say, sometimes we can go ahead, Nigeria is producing so much rice. how does it affect the actual people and the citizens? That's my thing. So we can, Tinubu, good luck. Yeah, we're all watching, and the hope is that Nigeria becomes a better place than it was 4 years ago, even if it's by this much, if it's this little. I know you can't change everything in one day. Maybe you could say Peter, like we can say Peter Obi won't have done anything, you know, it is what it is. But hopefully when we gather again in 2027, we can look back and say, hey, we're voting for him again.
Please put that clause there, PDP.
Where we can look back at Tinubu's time and say, hey, he's done great and we want to vote for him again. In normal situations, based on the performance of the APC the last time, APC should not be in power right now because it was a horrible. Like, yes, I don't know whether you thought it was better, it was good or not. So at the end of the day, in 2027, we'll come back again and see. If he does good, I'll vote for him. You know, if I can vote for him, I'll vote for him. If I can support, I'll support. But it is what it is. For this time, I thought it was a different person.
Now, let me ask you a question. A lot of people are saying the court was corrupt. In this instance,
I disagree. I disagree with that.
The court wasn't corrupt.
The court wasn't corrupt. They look. The law is, once you enter the hands of the law, a cop in the U.S. city can pull you over for driving and with an expired tag, registration tag. So from the law between A and Z, he can either give you a smack on the hand and say, leave the car here, let your wife or your brother come drive the car who has a license or whatever it is, right? Or you have an expired license, or he can put you in jail. Do you get what I'm saying? So when it gets to the point of pointing out whether the law was wrong or right, there's really no, once you get into that point, it's like a penalty shootout and really for all intents and purposes. It can go anywhere. So I'm not saying the courts were wrong or anything, but it's just that I know that as Nigerians, when we go to bed at night and we close our eyes, we know that things are fundamentally wrong. And I would feel that
I agree with you that things are fundamentally wrong. I agree with you.
I would have loved a leader that looked a little different, a leader that I could point to my children and say, that guy, he's cool, he's fair, the things we put in his hand, for the most part, he will use those things we put in his hand to be a blessing to the people or to help the country move forward. That's all I was looking for. You know what I mean? So hopefully Tinubu does that.
That's impressive, actually. This will be the very first time. Honestly, this will be the very first time I will see Mother Voice on live. So calm, articulate, understanding, and factual. Honestly, see, 100% for you. Goes up for you. You know.
Tell me who do you support now? Tell me who do you support now? Who are you?
You know, I'm Article for life now, really? So you know that yes, I'm Article for life. So that's why I do tell you guys, come back home. Let's solve our differences. You understand? You know, Mother Voice actually raised a point which I disagree, and the point was actually, I understand the angle you're actually coming from. You're actually making us to understand that. Sometimes we could think the best decision is the best. Sometimes it may not actually be the best, and it can be the wrong decision. But the only place I do disagree with you guys is that you always feel that if it's not Peter Obi, then no one can actually do it better.
Exactly.
Because I can understand when we are talking about Sahara, from Monday, people will go to US Embassy, whatever. Well, let's not talk about ourselves, but let's talk about Daddy Freeze. You and I know that Daddy Freeze is okay in Nigeria. He has actually talked about Japa several times, and he told us that he cannot even Japa and go and be for D for US or UK. He has insisted on that. Now, what I want to bring up from that case is that let's not always think in the direction that Nigeria is so ugly to the level that people want to just leave the country. Some people are leaving the country. Sometimes they are leaving greener pasture for even the wrong thing abroad. So the fact that you Japa does not really mean we are okay. It's when you get there, you now realize that even where you are coming from was even much better than where you're actually going. One thing I would just urge every one of us is that, honestly, I'm not happy that Tinubu is the president, but I have no choice than just to, allow the law to actually have its place. But one thing there is that till 2027, when Bongoli will leave political scene for seminary, let's try as much as we can to actually be objective, just like you did tonight. Honestly, I give you 10 over 10. In fact, 100 over 10, because this will be the very first time I will see you being objective and straightforward with your point. And let's just try as much as we can, to be not partisan when it comes to some cases. And let's try to be understanding. Let's try just to be a kind of Nigerian who actually want the best for the country. So what I'm just saying in essence is that the fact that it's not Peter Obi does not mean Tinubu cannot do it better. And even if he's not doing it better, let's try as much as possible to be patriotic with the way we're doing our things. I believe, and just because if Peter Obi is able to return himself back to PDP, I believe 2027, at least as vice president, he can actually clinch that post maybe in 2041 or 2031. But well done to you, honestly, Motherboard. I appreciate your contribution, your calmness, your objectivity, and your reality tonight. Kudos to you, honestly.
Yeah. So what I want to say is that I'm not saying that Peter Obi is the only person in the world who can help Nigeria, or the only Nigerian who can help Nigeria. But I'm just saying that amongst the first three people who were running, Atiku, Tinubu, and Peter Obi to me was the best. I think he was able to inspire people without paying them, without giving them money.
Yes,
and I agree with you, Mo. I agree with you 100%.
Young people who did not care.
Remember, I was obedient
at
the time.
Let
me tell you, what made me leave obedient camp was not Peter Obi, was the way obedience were behaving. That's what made me leave. I got tired of that toxicity.
They were very
but Peter Obi was a great candidate. I supported him at a point.
They were too toxic.
So, to be very honest, let's look at how we can move the country forward. Tinubu might not be our choice, but he's the choice we have to work with. Breaking news, Obi has rejected the tribunal, so it looks like we're going to go to Supreme Court at the end of the day.
As expected.
And again, freeze 1 second. I have to go, but let me just say this. I don't think it's funny. I think that as citizens, we need to use the full extent of our rights. It's not funny that he wants to go to court the first time and he wants to go to the Supreme Court. That's what we should fight for. Even living in America, you're taught this. We know what the Constitution is. The police officer pulls me over. He's not going to see anything. I don't have to show him. It's Obi's right. We practice the same thing in Anambra State. It's his right. He's not causing any violence. He's not telling anybody to go out on the street. He's going to the next higher court.
He's still within his constitutional rights.
All night, yes.
Mother voice, 100% for you tonight. 100%. 100% for you tonight.
All right, guys. Breaking news: a Rema show in Ethiopia was cancelled because they believe Rema was part of the Illuminati, so they canceled the show in Ethiopia. This is just getting to me. And the show promoter is joining me live in 5 minutes. I was talking to them earlier on. If you're watching on TikTok, double-click the screen, double-click the screen, double-click the screen. If you're watching on TikTok, we're going to come back on all channels, and we're going to talk. No, this is really serious. The Rema show in Ethiopia cancelled because it is believed in Ethiopia, being a very religious country, that Rema is part of the Illuminati. That's what I'm hearing. 5 minutes from now, we'll be live. Don't miss this. Thank you. Big shout out to Peter Obi and the Obedience, and I do wish him good luck in the Supreme Court. The verdict from today is this particular court case was not corrupt.
At all.
The judges did exactly what they were supposed to do with regards to the Constitution. So if you're angry that you didn't quote and unquote justice, it may be because you were looking. It's like me telling this girl, Savage Trap Queen, I say, Savage Trap Queen, you must date me, and she says no, and I say she's a wicked person because she refused to date me. No, it doesn't always have to be like that. She has the opportunity to, how do I put it, refuse. So let's look at this from a more critical angle. And then somebody saying he was corrupted. Momo, Mukaria, even Peter Obi, Obedience, who went to school. You know where you don't go to school.
My big brother, let me even add this. We are here arguing. I will not be surprised if tomorrow you see Peter Obi having one government appointment. We don't even know if they've even sort out their differences and they're just putting on a charade.
He can only come back home, actually.
It's very
He can't take any appointment from Tinubu. He can only come back home. You know, actually, my conclusion here is that we have to learn from what happened today, that sometimes going to the court system is not actually the best thing for us. We could have just settled some issues at home and you know win by the normal electoral process. So, but notwithstanding, like Mother Voice has said, Peter Obi actually have the fundamental right, you know, to actually explore everything.
To contest. But even when he's contesting, it should file for the right motion. You're filing for, oh, the child is not mine, and you want them to fight on your behalf, saying, oh, you're married to the lady. You can't do that. File the right motion. Yeah. Get a substantial evidence to back your claim. Don't wait for INEC. If you feel the figures were manipulated, get your evidence, document it, and present it before the courts. Not saying, oh, the people love me, so the courts are going to rule in my favor. No, court deals with evidence, not emotions, absolutely, not sentiments.
So, guys, I'm going to go now. Savage Trap Queen, lovely seeing you. I haven't seen you in a while.
Bye, my brother. Good night,
go now, so I can come back with the Rema gist in like 3 minutes. Take care, everybody. We love you.
Bye.